What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Raise the Flags Football Talk. It's been a while since I've done this. It's been a long time, so I'm glad to be back here on YouTube all spring and summer long for arena football from February to August. This is going to be fun. I'm assuming that if you're watching YouTube, and if you've been watching YouTube for more than like a day, that you know I want you to like and subscribe, so I'm not going to tell you to like every other YouTuber will. So just do it. And with that, let's get into arena football, just what we're going to be talking about from now on Raise the Flags Football Talk. And Raise the Flags Football in the Arena every Thursday, where we will be predicting arena football games. But here on Raise the Flags Football Talk, we're going to be talking about every single professional league in arena football, and we're going to be making top 25 rankings of every team from every league, sort of like college football style rankings, but for arena football, because the structures are very similar. There are several conferences in college football, and there are several leagues in arena football. So we're going to get into all of those leagues today, and then at the end, we're going to get into our preseason top 25 for arena football. And we're going to be covering arena football all year long, and eventually, once we get to the end of the season, we're going to have I believe it'll be a live stream where I will be announcing a ton of awards, along with the first ever Raise the Flags national champion. That will be in August, so I can't wait for that. But let's get into arena football. So, first thing we are going to do is we're going to get into every single league and team in arena football. Starting with the main league, numero uno, the top level of arena football, or what is widely considered to be the top level of arena football. The Indoor Football League is the second longest continuous running league in American football, in America. CFL doesn't count. The only one that has been running consistently longer than the IFL is obviously the NFL. So its teams has 14 teams coming into the 2024 season, or 2025 season. It had 16 teams in the 2024 season. So not used to it being 2025. Oh my goodness. But so the 14 teams for the 2025 season in the Eastern Conference: the Massachusetts Pirates, the Jacksonville Sharks, the Fishers Freight, the Iowa Barnstormers, the Quad City Steamwheelers, the Tulsa Oilers, and the Green Bay Blizzard. And in the Western Conference, you have the Bay Area Panthers, the Arizona Rattlers, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, the Tucson Sugar Skulls, the San Diego Strike Force, the San Antonio Gunslingers, and the Vegas Nighthawks. Also, we have a few inactive teams in the league that played in the league last year or years before. The Sioux Falls Storm have been very dominant in the IFL. They're sitting out the 2025 season, so hopefully we'll see them back in 2026. The Frisco Fighters, another inactive team. It's very sad to see them not play. They're arguably one of, if not the most famous IFL team. They've had a lot of moments going viral over the past couple years. They've been very successful as well in the Eastern Conference. You have the Duke City Gladiators, former champions in Champions Indoor Football, I believe. Played a few seasons in the IFL before going defunct, if you will, for the 2025 season. Hopefully they'll be back soon. And the Bismarck Bucks, who have been struggling over the past few years to make it onto the field. So we'll see if they can eventually do that. Most of these teams are very well established franchises that have been playing for a while and hopefully will continue to play for a while. We also have one expansion team into the league, the Fishers Freight, playing their first season in indoor football and in the Indoor Football League. So I cannot wait to see how this IFL season goes. League format-wise, each team will play 16 games, 8 home and 8 away. And after that, the top 4 in each conference will make the playoffs, with obviously the top team in the conference playing the 4th team in the conference, and so on and so forth till we get conference champions. And then they play in the IFL National Championship game, which I believe is going to be in Tucson, Arizona this year. So can't wait to see what happens with that. But moving on to one of the 2 other sort of major leagues, if you will. I think the big 3 is what I'm going to how I'm going to refer to them: the IFL, the AF1, and the NAL, which we'll get to in a minute. The AF1, Arena Football 1, has 3 divisions. In the East Division, you have the Albany Firebirds, the Orlando Predators, the Nashville Cats, and the Wilkes-Barre, I believe they're going to be called the Mavericks. Took them a little bit longer than all of the other teams to come up with a name, but I believe Mavericks is what they've gone with. In the Central Division, you have the Salina Liberty, the Southwest Kansas Storm, and the Corpus Christi Tritons. They were supposed to have a 4th team, the Wichita Regulators, which we'll get to in a minute. The Regulators played in the 2024 AFL season. We'll definitely be talking about that later on in the channel, but not at the moment. The Regulators were supposed to be the 4th team in the Central Division this season, but they are going inactive for the year. So in a little bit, we will be getting to what the AF1 could potentially do to replace the Regulators for the year, because I do have a very good solution for that. I don't know if it'll happen, but it would fix multiple problems in arena football. But anyway, moving on with the teams in this league, our final division, the West Division, the defending champion Billings Outlaws. You have the Washington Wolfpack, the Oregon Thunder, and the Arizona Bandits. So that's going to be a very competitive league. I believe that the Eastern Division of the AF1 is going to be the most competitive conference, division, league, what have you, in all of arena football this year. You have the Albany Firebirds, one of the best teams in arena football. Albany has a history of arena football success, with the Albany Empire winning arena bowls, winning the National Arena League title before folding because Antonio Brown. I'm not going to get into that, but if you know, you know. If you don't and you want to know, look it up. I'm not going to tell you right now. But yeah. So after the Empire folded, they were replaced by the Albany Firebirds in the AFL for last season. And the Firebirds were very successful. They played in the Arena Bowl last year, but lost to the Outlaws. And then you also have the Orlando Predators, another very good team, the oldest team in all of arena football, any league, founded in 1991. So a very storied franchise there. Multiple Arena Bowl appearances for the Predators as well. Lots of playoff appearances. They made the AFL playoffs last year before getting eliminated by the Nashville Cats. As you'll see in a little bit with our rankings, all 3 of those teams are in the top 15. I'm not going to tell you exactly where they are at the moment, but they're all up there. And then you have the Wilkes-Barre Mavericks, so we're going to see what they can do in this division and if they can compete with 3 of the big boys in the AF1. So yeah, moving on, we have the National Arena League, the third Big 3 league, if you will. The National Arena League has had quite the offseason. Oh my goodness. So, last year, the National Arena League only had 5 teams. You had the Omaha Beef, the Carolina Cobras, the Idaho Horsemen, the Colorado Spartans, and the Sioux City Bandits. They expanded 7 teams over the offseason to get up to 12 teams. And then teams have been dropping like flies in the offseason. You had the Corpus Christi Tritons were kicked out of the league due to not paying league dues or something like that in the winter. So they weren't included in the original schedule that the National Arena League came out with. They went on to join the Arena Football 1. And then after that, they came out with the schedule with 11 teams, and the Harrisburg Stampede, after this schedule was made, ceased operations. They folded. They will not be playing in 2025 or likely ever again, which is very unfortunate, but that's the way things are. I believe it was money issues there that prevented them from keeping the team afloat. So then the NAL came out with a new schedule with 5-team divisions. And after that, another team, the Amarillo Dusters. I can never say that city name right. The Amarillo Dusters were kicked out of the league for the same reason the Tritons were. All these Texas teams, man, just pay your league dues. Oh my goodness. So we now have 9 teams in the National Arena League. 4 in the National Division, 5 in the American Division. So in the National Division, we have the Omaha Beef, the Idaho Horsemen, the Colorado Spartans, and the Sioux City Bandits. And in the American Division, we have the Wheeling Miners, the Carolina Cobras, the Columbus Lions, the Beaumont Renegades, and the Shreveport Rougarou. 2 of these teams, the Renegades and the Rougarou, are heading into their first ever season. We have 3 undefeated league champions from 2024 in this 2025 stacked National Arena League. Would have been more stacked if the Tritons were still involved, not missing out on too much with the Dusters and the Stampede, but the other than 2 teams that were in the league. But the Tritons, very good team. It's going to be moving to the AF1. We still have 3 teams that went undefeated and won their league titles last year. The Omaha Beef, undefeated National Arena League champions of 2024. You have the Columbus Lions, undefeated American Indoor Football champions in 2024. And you have the Wheeling Miners, undefeated American Arena League champions in 2024. So it's going to be a very stacked league. I can't wait to see if the Miners and the Lions, who went undefeated last year, can compete in the NAL. I believe the Lions will be able to. They're a former NAL team. They left for the AIF. I believe 2022 was their most recent season in the National Arena League. So, anyway, moving on to probably the most unique league of all of them, the Arena League. It's literally the name, the Arena League. TAL. And the Arena League has 6 teams. I believe 4 of them will be making the playoffs. Last year they had exactly 4 teams, and they all made the playoffs. So you had the Iowa Woo, I believe, went 2-7 and still made the championship game because they won a playoff game, which was interesting. So anyway, the teams in this league are the defending champion Duluth Harbor Monsters, the Iowa Woo, Kansas City Goats, the Eau Claire Axemen, the Ozarks Lunkers, and the Hot Springs Wise Guys. And what makes this league different from a lot of other leagues? There's a lot. The team names are very different. Some of them are pretty cool. You have the Harbor Monsters. That's possibly the coolest name out of any arena football team. The Woo, named after WWE legend Ric Flair. I never thought I would see a football team called the Goats. I do not believe they're named after Tom Brady because they play in Kansas City. But the Lunkers of Ozarks, Apparently a lunker is a fish because that's what the logo is. Nuclear Axemen were originally called the Nuclear Loggers, which would have been that would have fit right in with this league. The Axemen is more of a normal name, at least by arena ball standards, and the Hot Springs Wise Guys, I believe, is supposed to be some sort of samurai-themed team. But also, this league is 6-on-6. There is no kicking whatsoever. No kicking field goals for extra points. If you go from the 5, you get 1. If you go from the 10, you get 2. And for kickoffs, they just do a throw-off like backyard football. So that's pretty cool. Very different league there from what you would normally see, even by indoor football standards. And then we have American Indoor Football. I believe this league is a totally different entity from the American Indoor Football that we had last season. None of the teams that played in the AIF last season are in this season's edition of the AIF. Last year, you obviously had the Columbus Lions and the Corpus Christi Tritons make the championship game. You also had the Amarillo Dusters. I'm going to be fumbling with that one all year. Oh my goodness. By the end of the year, I'm going to pronounce Amarillo right first try. That's my goal. But anyway, you had the Amarillo Dusters and the Harrisburg Stampede also in that league. I believe there was another team that I am not remembering that also played in the league. So yeah. But this year you have the West Michigan Ironmen, the Coralville Chaos, and the Cedar Rapids River Kings are the 3 teams in the American Indoor Football this year. This is probably the weirdest league of all of them for obvious reasons. I mean, there are only 3 teams in the league. They play, I believe, a 6-game league schedule. I believe they play every other team in the league 3 times. Pretty sure that's how it works. Their first game is actually on Friday already. So we're not even going a single week without football. So that's nice. Yeah, wow, I believe there's not a single year, including arena football, NFL, spring football, football overseas, and the European League of Football, including all of those leagues. I'm pretty sure there isn't a single week without a professional football game. So that's nice, unless you, if you count the Pro Bowl. If you don't count the Pro Bowl, which doesn't really count, then there isn't. But anyway, I'm getting very off topic. The AIF, the season starts on Friday with the Iron Men and the Chaos going head-to-head. That is the Raise the Flags game of the week. We'll get more into that on Thursday. The Raise the Flags in the arena. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how a 3-team league plays out. They do have several out-of-league games scheduled for each of these teams. They have teams like, they have independent teams like not the Collin County Crash, that's a different league. That's what we'll be talking about next. But they have teams like the Hidden Gems, Phenoms, and the Michigan Gladiators that are playing multiple games against teams in this league just to get more games for each team. And then moving on to our final confirmed league that we know for a fact will be playing in 2025, the National Football Alliance's National Indoor Football. They have 3 teams for this season. All of them are in Texas. You have the Dallas Falcons, the Dallas Kings, and the Waco Tornadoes. Tell me in the comments if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure if it's Wacko or Waco. And you have one independent team or inactive team, planned expansion for 2026. That is the Texas Hotshots. I don't know a ton about this league. I know the schedule and the teams, and that's basically it. So I'm going to try to find out more about this league by the time I'm actually predicting how the season's going to go, which is going to be in the next couple weeks, throughout the rest of February. The season is still just about to start. The NAL won't have started yet. None of the big three will have started yet. The NAL and the AF1 both start first week of March, I'm pretty sure. And then the IFL starts towards the end of March, around when the UFL starts. The United Football League, the main outdoor spring football league. Anyway, moving on, we have a few independents. The Amarillo Dusters, who are currently independent after being kicked out of the National Arena League. My plan for them and for the Arena Football 1, which would fix problems that both of them have, should have the Amarillo Dusters join Arena Football 1 in the Central Division. You'll have an in-state rival in the Corpus Christi Tritons, and they could just replace the Wichita Regulators. Just play the Regulators' planned schedule. That way you don't have to remake any schedules or cancel any games. None of the scheduling gets weird. None of the playoffs or wild card race gets weird. And the Dusters have a league to play in. We've already seen the AF1 welcome the Tritons, who were kicked out of the National Arena League, so I believe they would do the same for the Dusters. So if they could do that, that would solve problems on both parties. It would be a huge win-win. So I don't think it'll happen, but if it happens, y'all owe me a lot of money, AF1, for that idea. No, I'm just kidding, but... And then you also have the Minneapolis Warriors, the Hidden Gems Phenoms, the Peach State Cats, the Buffalo Ridge Wildcats, the Golden Triangle Seminoles, the Detroit Ravens, the Michigan Gladiators, and the Collin County Crash. So those are your independents for this season that are playing, at least the ones that I know of. There are probably a ton more that are not on that list. These are the ones that I know of, mostly from scheduling games against teams in one of the leagues that we just talked about. There are several other leagues that I'm trying to learn more about so that I can include them. But I'm going to get into those leagues at a later date, probably around the same time that I'm predicting American and National Indoor Football, because those leagues are so small. It's going to be pretty fast. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the leagues and teams. So let's get into our first ever Arena Football Ellington poll rankings of the Arena Football teams, the preseason rankings. At 25th, we have the San Antonio Gunslingers. 24th, the Carolina Cobras. 23rd, the Vegas Nighthawks. 22nd, the Washington Wolfpack. And at 21st, the Quad City Steamwheelers. A lot of IFL. You're going to notice a common theme, a lot of IFL in these rankings. I believe, let's see, there are 12 out of the top 25 teams are in the IFL. It's definitely the top league. I mean, the AF1 comes close, the NAL comes close, but the IF1, oh my goodness, I'm mixing leagues up now. I cannot talk today. The IFL is definitely, it's like, picture like the SEC of Arena Football, except there's not going to be a ton of bias like the College Football Playoff Committee. But speaking of which, I do want to address this real quickly. Obviously, I'm from Florida, have my Buccaneers jersey on. If you couldn't tell, the channel is named after the Buccaneers, which obviously makes my favorite Arena Football team the Orlando Predators. Nearby team. That's actually the city that I was born in. But I'm not going to be biased towards the Predators. I'm not going to do any favoritism towards the Predators or any I'm taking 1 point off because I know you, stuff like that that some judges do. I'm just going to rank them just as any other team. But yeah, I'm getting very sidetracked. Oh my goodness, I'm very good at trailing off. So we have all of the big three represented in these bottom five ranked teams that are still ranked. It's obviously a very good accomplishment to get on to the rankings. The Gunslingers, Hawks, and Steamwheelers are all IFL teams. Gunslingers, fun fact, that was also the name of a former USFL team, which is pretty interesting. And the Steamwheelers were a former AF2 team. A lot of former AF2 teams in the IFL. Anyway, moving on, you have at 20th the Jacksonville Sharks, 19th the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 18th the Southwest Kansas Storm, 17th the Wheeling Miners, and 16th the Duluth Harbor Monsters. Holy voice crack, oh my goodness. The Duluth Harbor Monsters. Yeah, so we have, again, a few IFL teams. Not as many IFL teams in this group here. The Sharks and Sugar Skulls are the only ones. The Sharks are former National Arena League champions in 2023, and they're former Arena Bowl champions. I think 2014 they won the Arena Bowl. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they have won the Arena Bowl. So, fun fact, if they win the IFL championship ever, they will be the first team to win an Arena Bowl, NAL championship, and an IFL national championship, which would be pretty cool. To be the only team that can say they did that. Sugar Skulls have been with the IFL for a decent amount of time. The Sharks are entering their second season in the IFL. Both of these teams were a little disappointing last year, but I'm expecting better out of them this year. Southwest Kansas Storm, they had a playoff run, short playoff run. They were first-round exits in the AFL playoffs last year, but they still made the playoffs as the fifth seed. Very good team. And I expect them to be pretty successful and maybe make a wild card push. I don't see them winning the Central Division. I think the Salina Liberty are probably going to win the Central, but I think the Storm have a good shot at that, or as the wild card spot if the Predators and Cats are unsuccessful this year. The Miners, obviously coming off of an undefeated league championship, and the Harbor Monsters were only defeated twice, winning a league championship last year as well. So, lots of success last year for both of those two teams, and I expect them to keep it up. Moving on, in 15th we have the Nashville Cats, 14th the Sioux City Bandits, 13th the Salina Liberty, 12th the Bay Area Panthers, and 11th the Orlando Predators. Once again, all of these teams made their respective league playoffs last year, I believe. Panthers 2023 IFL champions. The Bandits played in the AFL the NAL championship game last year. Also, one of the Bandits and the Cats and the Predators. Predators are the oldest team. The Bandits are up there. The Cats are up there too. So a lot of history here. Obviously you have the Predators-Cats rivalry. That's going to be very fun this year. That entire East Division is going to be very fun to watch play out this year. If I was a Wilkes-Barre Maverick, I would start my praying now, because you have three very good teams in that division. So I expect a lot of success out of all of these teams this year. And then moving on, 10 through 6. At 10th we have the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 9th the San Diego Strike Force, 8th the Green Bay Blizzard, a few IFL teams there, and then 7th the defending undefeated American Indoor Football League champions, the Columbus Lions, and in 6th the defending National Arena League champions, the Omaha Beef. Now I can't wait for when the Beef and the Lions play each other. I'm not 100% sure if that happens. I'm pretty sure it does, because if there are only 9 teams in the league, they should all be playing each other. If they're not, then what are we doing? But I expect the Beef and the Lions and the Sioux City Bandits to be mainly carrying the National Arena League this year as the 3 top teams. And So I'm pretty sure that the Beef and the Lions, yeah, they are in two different conferences, so that's my prediction right there. Beef and Lions in the NAL championship game. Really hope that happens. That would be very entertaining. And then anyway, in the top 5 teams in arena football, we have at 5th the Billings Outlaws, 4th the Iowa Barnstormers, 3rd the Massachusetts Pirates, 2nd the Albany Firebirds, and 1st the Arizona Rattlers. A ton of success last year in this top 5. The Barnstormers are the only one that were a little bit disappointing last year, but they've made some great additions to their team coming into the season. So I'm expecting a lot out of the Barnstormers, but they're probably the team in this top 5 that I would be the least surprised if underperforms. I am going to be looking back at the end of the season on how accurate this preseason top 25 was. So we'll see what happens there. The Outlaws and the Firebirds played in the AFL championship game last year, which is now the AF1. And the Rattlers and Pirates played in the IFL championship game last year, so both of those teams have seen, all of those teams have seen a lot of success very recently. So yeah, that is your preseason top 25. This will not change, I believe, until like the first or second week of March. It's going to be, I know the NAL and AF1 seasons, like the actual in-league seasons, not all those out-of-league exhibition games that the NAL likes to do, which will count, by the way. Those will count for these rankings. But when the actual in-league season starts for the AF1 and the NAL, that will be when the rankings will first be updated. I believe that's going to be March 11th is going to be the next update to the rankings. So that's going to do it for Raise the Flags Football Talk, Week 1 of the 2025 AF1 season. Make sure to check out Raise the Flags Football in the Arena this Thursday is when it will be posted. So can't wait for then. Can't wait for the AFL season. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.